Imagine you're working for a ruthless mafia boss, but then you fall in love with his girlfriend. Hey guys, and welcome to Kimchi Recaps. In today's video, we will be recapping the South Korean thriller named A Bittersweet Life, where we'll follow the story of a man who fell in love with his ruthless boss's girlfriend and lived to pay for it. So without any further delay, let's start with this recap. The movie opens with Kim Sun-woo, a hotel manager, who happens to work for this ruthless mafia boss and businessman named Mr. Kang. Sun-woo is Mr. Kang's one of the most trusted employees and trusts him to do anything for him. Besides taking care of the hotel, Sun-woo also takes care of rival gang members, who at every turn are trying to cause any kind of trouble. Sun-woo loyally informs Mr. Kang about the rival gang members and assures that everything has been taken care of. The men that Sun-woo beat up last night were sent by President Baek, another crime boss who seems to be interested in their business. But Sun-woo doesn't want him involved because he doesn't trust him to be loyal to Mr. Kang. Mr. Kang has a lot of faith in him, especially when it comes to making wise decisions, so he agrees that what he did was the right thing. During their chat, Kang's second man, Moon-suk, intervenes and starts eating all the food on the table while taking credit for handling last night's incident. Sun-woo then points out that it was originally Moon-suk's job to deal with Baek's men, but since he didn't do his job, Sun-woo had to take care of it himself. In comparison to Sun-woo, Mr. Kang finds Moon-suk incompetent, so he tells him to get lost and leave them alone. With Moon-suk gone, Mr. Kang lets Sun-woo in on a secret. He reveals that he has a girlfriend named Hee-soo, who happens to be younger than him. Mr. Kang confesses that he finds Hee-soo very special, but lately he's suspecting that she's having an affair with another man. So he asks Sun-woo to keep an eye on Hee-soo and look after her while he's away on a 3-day business trip to Shanghai. In the case that his girlfriend is really having an affair, Mr. Kang indirectly asks Sun-woo to kill his girlfriend and her lover. Later, when Sun-woo escorts him into the car, Mr. Kang, in his drunk state, confesses that he likes and trusts Sun-woo because of his clean slate in love life. The next morning, Sun-woo pays a visit to Hee-soo for the first time, along with a gift box from Mr. Kang. After waiting for a while, Hee-soo finally arrives and starts opening Mr. Kang's present. Meanwhile, Sun-woo takes his time to stare deep into Hee-soo's face and admires her beauty. He then reveals that he was sent by Mr. Kang and will be her driver for the day. Just then, Hee-soo receives a call from her friend who will be picking her up, so she politely asks Sun-woo to leave. As a part of his job, which was to keep a close eye on Hee-soo, Sun-woo parks his car a few blocks away from her house and watches her leave with another man. Sun-woo follows them in his car and stalks them while they have dinner at a restaurant and go to a club. He continues to follow them back home to make sure she returns home safely. Just then, he gets a call from Moon-suk from the hotel, complaining that Baek's men have been bothering him over the phone ever since Sun-woo beat up his men. When Sun-woo meets up with Moon-suk, he puts Sun-woo on a call with Baek. Without entertaining anything from Baek, Sun-woo threatens to see him in person if he has some issues and hangs up mid-sentence. Moon-suk holds Sun-woo and tells him he's only made things worse over the phone with Baek. Baek, on the other hand, is left shocked by Sun-woo's action and isn't too happy when one of his men finds the situation funny. So, Baek brutally beats him up for laughing at his insult. Baek then tells one of his men to call a henchman named Moo-sung. Baek believes his men are lazy, and Moo-sung is just the right man to handle Sun-woo. That night, Sun-woo goes home and sleeps on his couch. He wakes up to Hee-soo's voice message on his phone, asking if he's available for the day. He gets ready and shows up to have lunch with Hee-soo. She tries to ask if he's Mr. Kang's enforcer, but he claims that he's just a normal employee at the hotel. Later, he follows her around while carrying her cello box. He drops her off at her class and sits quietly outside the concert hall as Hee-soo begins playing beautiful music with her band. Sun-woo is captivated by Hee-soo as she plays the cello with grace and passion. He watches her every movement, mesmerized by her beauty and confidence. The rich, resonant sound of her cello touches something deep within him, each note drawing him further under her spell. Lost in the music, Sun-woo realizes he is falling in love with Hee-soo. When Sun-woo returns to the hotel, he's stopped by Moon-suk, who is partying with Baek and some girls. Sun-woo sits down and asks the girls to leave, but Moon-suk takes offense, telling him to respect Baek as their guest. Sun-woo ignores him and bluntly tells Baek to stay out of their business. Moon-suk angrily punches the table, and Sun-woo leaves. Later, Sunwoo goes to pick up Hee-soo from her class, but steps back when he sees another man arrive for her. He follows them home and decides to leave when the man doesn't stay over at her place, but Hee-soo has been watching Sunwoo. So soon after Sunwoo leaves, she calls the man back, finally revealing she's having an affair with him. Elsewhere, Sunwoo gets distracted by a call from Min-gi and almost crashes into another car. While he's driving through a tunnel, he recalls that the car he almost crashed into belonged to the same guy that Hee-soo had only claimed to be her friend. He immediately drives back and finds the same car parked outside Hee-soo's house. At first, he rings the bell but then decides to climb the wall instead, suspecting Hee-soo would try to hide her boyfriend. Inside, Hee-soo gets startled to see Sunwoo, who catches the boyfriend walking out of the bathroom. The boyfriend tries to run away, but Sunwoo is quick to attack him and stop him from getting away. Hee-soo tries to stop Sunwoo, who controls himself from almost hitting her and pushes her away. When he tries to kill the boyfriend, Hee-soo comes in between. Sunwoo decides to call Mr. Kang to let him know what his girlfriend has been up to. But when he sees Hee-soo crying, he decides not to tell the truth. He threatens the boyfriend to leave and never come in contact with Hee-soo if he wants to be alive. Hee-soo runs after her boyfriend, but Sunwoo stops her. He tries to talk to her, but she tells him to leave her alone. On his way back, Sunwoo finds himself in road rage with a bunch of goons. Enraged by the night's incident and confused by his feelings for Hee-soo, Sunwoo decides to teach the goons a lesson. He first blocks their way and then beats them to a pulp, before throwing their car key and heading back home. When he returns to his apartment, he feels someone's presence in the building's parking lot, so he takes out his baseball bat and challenges whoever's hiding to come face him up front. Out walks Moo-sung, the guy hired by Baek, who politely asks Sunwoo to apologize to Baek and admit that he's wrong. Sunwoo instead cusses at him and tells him to leave. The next day, Mr. Kang returns and goes to see his girlfriend, who has become distant all of a sudden. He places her present on her bed, but she steps away and tells Mr. Kang that she's moving away to another city. Meanwhile, Sunwoo is really struggling with his feelings and can't fall asleep. All of a sudden, he is ambushed by Moo-sung's men, who catch him off guard in his apartment and severely beat him up. Moo-sung shows up for the final knockout kick. Sunwoo regains consciousness in an unknown place where he's hanged mid-air and is bleeding heavily. A lady comes and mops away his blood that's dripping on the floor. He keeps trying to interact with her, but she doesn't reply. Soon, Moo-sung and Baek show up with their thugs. Baek taunts Sunwoo about getting beaten up like that and has a laugh. He then tells Moo-sung to get rid of him without wasting time. As the men are preparing for his torturous death, they get a phone call, following which they take Sunwoo to an unknown place and throw him off their vehicle. Sunwoo takes off the bag from his head and finds Mr. Kang, Mun-suk, and their people standing next to him. Mr. Kang then asks Sunwoo why he lied to him regarding Hee-soo. Sunwoo keeps quiet, not sure what to say. Mr. Kang then leaves him with Mun-suk, who further insults him by saying how unimportant he has become. Mr. Kang calls Mun-suk and talks to Sunwoo one last time, asking the same question. Sunwoo justifies his actions by saying that he thought he was doing the right thing by giving Hee-soo another chance. Mr. Kang gives Mun-suk some orders and hangs up. On Mr. Kang's order, Mun-suk and his men torment Sunwoo and then bury him alive. It seems Sunwoo is dead, but the heavy rain ends up helping him, as it loosens up the sand, giving Sunwoo a chance to get himself out of the ditch. But unfortunately, Mun-suk and his men were waiting for him, almost expecting Sunwoo to save himself. They then take him back to their den. They harshly wash the mud off him and laugh about it. Mun-suk then hands him a phone and gives him an opportunity to call Mr. Kang and beg for forgiveness. But instead of apologizing, Sunwoo uses the phone as a weapon and opens an attack on Mun-suk and his men. After fighting off quite a number of goons, Sunwoo finally manages to get himself free. When Mr. Kang hears about this, he gets even more enraged and arranges a meeting with Baek and his father. While he indirectly tells them how Sunwoo has betrayed him, Baek laughs and tells Kang that they should have let them finish Sunwoo off. That night, Sunwoo delivers a gift at Hee-soo's place, and the next day, he meets up with two gun dealers in the middle of nowhere in order to purchase a gun. The gun dealers are rookies and don't know how to conduct business. They become doubtful of him and start fighting with each other. They give Sunwoo their number card and leave, but get crashed into a construction vehicle. Due to this, they are forced to take Sunwoo to their gun dealer, who also grows suspicious of him. Sunwoo then lies about buying the gun on behalf of Mr. Hang, one of the executives at Mr. Kang's hotel. Believing Sunwoo's words, he teaches Sunwoo how to assemble a gun. When Mr. Hang gets on call with the gun dealer and refuses to have anyone sent to collect guns, Sunwoo quickly gets the gun and shoots the dealer and the middlemen dead. He steals their guns and flees in a taxi. He then grabs Musung and threatens him to arrange a meeting with Baek. Meanwhile, the gun dealer's brother shows up and is shocked to find everyone dead. He sees Kang's business card on his brother's table, so he decides to pay him a visit. On the other hand, Sunwoo meets up with Baek in the middle of a shut-down basketball court and asks why he tried to kill him over such a small thing. Baek ends up stabbing Sunwoo with a sharp screw several times, but Sunwoo gets his hands on the gun and shoots Baek on the leg before finishing him off for good. While bleeding, Sunwoo takes a taxi downtown and calls Kang, warning him that he's coming for him. Later, we see that Sunwoo had beaten up and tied Musung at the exact same spot they hung Sunwoo. Meanwhile, Heesoo gets a call from the girl she sold her house to. She is told that someone has left a present for her. When she returns and opens the present, she finds the expensive lamp she couldn't buy when she was with Sunwoo. Meanwhile, Sunwoo enters the hotel and goes out on a killing spree. He begins by shooting Munsuk and continues shooting anyone who comes his way until he reaches Mr. Kang. He shoots one of his men and asks for an explanation behind his attack, despite the fact that he has been working for him like a loyal dog for 7 years. Kang believes he's acting out because of Heesoo, which enrages Sunwoo and prompts him to shoot him. Just then, Musung and his men show up for revenge and shoot at Sunwoo. Sunwoo's ear gets narrowly braced by a bullet, but he pretends to fall to the ground. When Musung walks closer, he shoots at him, causing a crossfire. After the crossfire, Sunwoo gets shot in the shoulder. He somehow manages to shoot Musung and his men to death. However, one remaining goon shoots and severely injures Sunwoo. Just then, the gun dealer's brother arrives and kills Musung's last remaining goon to show that he means business. When the gun dealer's brother approaches him, Sunwoo immediately calls Heesoo, who answers the call. However, before Sunwoo could reply, the gun dealer's brother shoots him to death. And that's the end of the movie. What do you think about the shocking twist that the movie led us to? Do you think Sunwoo had actually fallen in love with his boss's girlfriend, or did he keep her cheating scandal a secret out of kindness? Do you think Sunwoo did the right thing by sparing Heesoo and her boyfriend's life? Join the discussion in the comments section and share your theories. For more gripping recaps, subscribe to Kimchi Recaps and hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.